cloudy, rainy day on October 1, 2021. Not surprising. Day of October, we have October weather. Otherwise, it's calm, but that's a good thing. Here are the charts for the route today, day 9, beginning with the area of operations in the park and the track on the nav and Google Earth charts. Here we're looking at the nav. I'm heading to the Kempton channel. The red line indicates my heading. Delta there represents the boat. The yellow represents the track of the boat. And then that's my speed up at the top. The distance traveled this morning, 4.8 nautical miles in 45 minutes. Gives you an idea of what I'm looking at when I'm underway. And as you enhance this, you get more depth information. It's my tachometer, 2700 RPM. Here's some voltage information on my battery while the engine is running. And here's our depth, currently 117 feet. Water temperature 60 plus degrees Fahrenheit. I went swimming in that last night. Pretty cold. I always keep my binoculars close by when I'm in the cockpit, trying to look ahead and see what's going on. Here's again a close-up of the nav. As I enter the channel, I've been enlarging this so that I get more detail and make sure I'm going the right direction. It gets pretty narrow as we go in there. You can see that right over here. And the depths also come up. Normally I'm running 6 to 7 knots. I'm trying to be economical with the fuel because it's going to be marginal, especially if I run into any weather. And normally I'm not in a big hurry to get anywhere. No sense running at high RPMs, using up a lot of extra fuel. I will say this, that I haven't seen a boat for days, and I think October 1st is generally the last of the season. Okay, we're coming into the channel here. Pretty narrow channel, but generally plenty deep. Right now you can see it's 70 to some feet. Temperatures come up a little bit since we've come into shallower water. Coming into a little shallower section down this way. Here's our trail. Looks like we'll see 13 feet when we get into the shallows there. Seeing 16 occasionally. Bottom seems pretty flat in here. Still a little rainfall. Right now we're seeing 14 and a half feet, 15. Looks like a little bit of a deep hole there in one spot. You can see the proximity of the shore when you're going through this narrow channel. As I go through this pretty narrow channel, 19 feet, just coming out into the wider portion. Looking back. Alright, I'm at Kempton Entrance North, R36 boat site. Not the prettiest of sights on not the prettiest of days. It's kind of cloudy and rainy this morning, although you can see a little sun reflecting right now, so there's some sun coming through the clouds. The Kempton Channel is right out that way. I just saw 2 fishing boats pass through there a while ago. And then this is a small bay that I'm on. And it's actually an island that I'm on. So the channel that goes through to the main lake is right there to the right. Deep enough that I think I can go out that way in the morning instead of out through the main channel. It's kind of open, but rocky, not real pretty, like I say, but it's still a nice site. And I came here, one of the reasons was for the exposure to the sun. I wanted the back of the boat to be more southwest oriented. This morning I cut the freezer off to conserve power, so I'm just using the refrigerator on the left side. Here are two more charts that highlight the Kempton channel and the boat site and alternative channel to the open lake. We'll walk through the island here so you can get a picture. It's nice open underneath the trees. There's not much brush. And I'll show you a little bit closer shot of the channel that I'm hoping to go out in the morning. Cut off a little distance because my fuel remaining is marginal. I've got enough, I think, but there's not a lot reserved. There's the channel. As near as I can tell, minimum depth is 5 feet, which is more than enough for me. I haven't seen any traffic on the Canadian side and no houseboats since the third day into this trip. So there's the day marker, and in the morning the direction I will have to take. So hopefully the wind will be down so I can cross that area in the morning without trouble. We'll go back this way. Kind of quiet this morning with the rain dampening everything. No birds. Very little wildlife seen around. Maybe a lot of the bird life have started to head south. Haven't seen an eagle yet. No osprey, which I think is strange in this kind of watery country. If they start going south, you wouldn't see them here anyway. So this is the far eastern tip of the island. Kind of an interesting tree there. Trees around these rocks will do anything they can to survive, I tell you. Roots going right into the rock and just digging in wherever they can, but it's still surviving. The top of the trees are green, or the limbs, I should say, are green. I don't know where I guess that's the end of the trunk there. Everything else is, that root looks a little bit weak there, so that may be dying there, but it's getting enough water. I better be careful here, because it's a slick. I'd go right into that drink if I slide down this rock. It looks wet, so I better be careful. This is the main channel, Kempton channel, I guess they call it. And out that way is the far end of Rainy. Actually, that's Canadian shoreline that you're looking at in the far distance. Lots of interesting rocks. Still sprinkling a little bit. Look at that tree there. Growing out of nothing, it looks like. Here's some that look like they're growing strictly out of the rock. Always fascinates me. Just a little bit of soil. That one doesn't even look like it has any soil. I'll tell you what, it's just trying to trip me up one way or the other, make me fall here. Just coming back to the site right now from the hike across the island. Get more of a bird's eye view up this way. I had to use roots to tie to. I could have extended rope and gone to some trees, but I'm using that route there. And the same on the other side. The only tree that I had was on the bow. Even that this one here I had to extend, as you saw. This island gets a little wind. I see that tree there has been knocked down, and there's one up in the woods there. The two got blown down, big trees, but kind of a rotten inside. As you can see there that, it's growing out of the rock again, and I suppose that puts a lot of stress on it and weakens the tree. Bring the fire ring up here and set it right there. Use that instead of a fire. I think there's enough wood around to make a fire, but I don't feel like it today in this cloudy, humid, actually fairly warm yet day. So, all right, it's kind of a rainy, gray evening, and I'm sitting here just off the bow of the boat, sitting around my fire ring, and I have a towel on my chair because it got a little wet from the rain. It wasn't completely dry. Fire ring comes in handy when you got a wet, rainy day like today. I did use a tabletop fire inside, but it just got a little bit too warm. So I came outside and set up out here then. I always have my binoculars and camera next to me. At least that's what my plan is. Sometimes that doesn't happen, but last trip, a pack of wolves came out and I didn't have my camera. So sometimes you screw up. And I'm looking out onto this very peaceful, quiet bay, getting close to sunset, although we're probably an hour or two away. It's just absolutely quiet. I think in the last hour, the only noise I heard was a little bit of a chattering of a red squirrel, and that's it. Otherwise, sitting here in the quiet of this bay and seeing fog forming in the trees, it is absolutely silent. Right now, it's my voice alone, that's it. And I think the red squirrel came over just to challenge me when I set up the fire, but I haven't heard from him for a while. I'm sitting here on my chair, as I said earlier, watching the fire. It's been a little bit, rainy, gray, cloudy, kind of a good sleep day. And I took a nap for at least an hour, and probably more. I didn't time it, but I read for a little bit and fell asleep. And before I knew it, I woke up and it was dinner time. I went ahead and made dinner. But usually I eat early. I only eat technically 2 meals a day, although sometimes I'll have a boat lunch if I'm hungry. So right now I'm just sitting by the fire, and as I said, it's just perfectly quiet. I did see a pair of bald eagles, first I've seen on the trip, fly by earlier today, just right over the boat, and they perched in a tree across the little bay here, but I wasn't able to see them. They were just a little bit out of my sight with my binoculars. Anyway, in spite of the cloudy, rainy, gray day, I'm enjoying it. I'm having a peaceful time this evening, and I'm not listening to music. I wanted to just listen to the quiet, the absolute quiet, because it's just so still. The water isn't moving. There's no breeze. There's no rain. The clouds don't seem to even be moving. It's like everything is still and absolutely silent. That's rare, so it's fun to just sit and soak that in when it happens. I'm probably getting a little hairy looking on this here because I haven't trimmed my beard or anything on this trip. I don't usually do that until just before I go home. So I look a little bit presentable when I'm on the highway. But right now I don't really care about that because I don't see anybody. I did see 2 little fishing boats go by. Actually, a third went by. So there was 3 fishing boats, but no houseboats. I haven't seen a houseboat since, I think, the 3rd day. It's been really quiet, and that's exactly what my hope was. In fact, it was so quiet that a couple times I got a little worried that maybe I should have done a float plan with Kelly, my daughter, before I left, and left one with the Park Service, because if I had trouble out here, there's not very many people around. So sometimes you overlook that. Fog's starting to form, so I expect maybe my crossing tomorrow is going to be foggy. Hopefully it's not so low that I can't proceed, but it is forming. So you'll see in the tops of the trees over there on that side of the little bay I'm on here. Still sitting here enjoying the fire, very quiet and still.